Let me get comfortable because this read, y'all, it's not just the sip, it's the whole pour. Welcome back to Reality Sip TV. I'm your girl, Sis with the T, your resident truth teller, wig straightener, and ego snatcher. And today, we're getting into why the men of Love and Marriage Huntsville stay shaking like a ring light in a windstorm whenever a woman levels up. Because let's be real, y'all, it ain't the bloggers, it ain't the editing, it ain't even the cheating. It's the audacity of a woman walking in her purpose that got these men pressed like Sunday clothes. So sit back, relax, and let's have a conversation because we are about to talk about how these men come alive when they think they're in control, but crumble when the woman next to them finally finds her voice. And no example hits harder than Mr. Martell. You fumbled the one Holt. Sir, you had a whole empire in your lap. You had the dream team, Miss Melody Cherie Rogers, a woman who built the brand, balanced the books, ran the house, raised the babies, and still had time to sing a hook and film a confessional. And what did you do? You fumbled her. You chose chaos and tight suits and a side piece storyline. And now that Melody is gone, she's thriving, she's glowing, and she's unbothered. You are out here trying to clean up your mess with Febreze and a ring pop. Sir, bye. You couldn't handle a boss woman because you weren't prepared to lead next to her. You wanted submission, not collaboration. And what did you do? You stepped out with Ariane like she was going to upgrade your life. But instead, you ended up being downgraded in public and your image and your integrity being dragged behind you like busted luggage. Melody prayed over you. She built with you. She upgraded you. And instead of protecting your blessing, you self sabotaged it for a little side action and attention. Now that she's glowing in peace and booked by purpose, you're on national television gaslighting the audience into thinking you still got it. Sir, all you got is a prayer list with no favor attached. You fumbled the woman who turned chaos into contracts, tears into trademarks, and pain into power. You traded purpose for proximity. And now you want to convince us that you're a changed man. Sir, the only thing that's changed is the lighting in your confessional. Because let's be real, you were only respected because of the woman standing beside you. And now that Melody has exited stage left, what you left with? Interviews nobody watches, a wine brand nobody buys, and a reputation that's aging like unrefrigerated milk. And to top it all off, you getting on this internet giving interviews about Ariane like she's a degree you earned instead of the scandal you created. So let's really go there. Because Martell Hope, you out here trying to pitch us this story about putting Ariane in the house, nursing school, and maybe, just maybe, giving her a ring. A ring, Martell. You can even give her a verified Instagram account. You treat Melody like she's the villain, but let's get this straight. She was the reason you had a seat at the table. And now that she's left the building, you're out here selling empty promises like a timeshare salesman in a hurricane. And Ariane, baby girl, this man can't even commit to co parenting, and you waiting on tuition money. If Melody was the empire, then I guess you're the guest pass to the food court. Now, let's give it up for Miss Melody Cherie Rogers. Because while Martell's been crying in club promo flyers, Melody's out here glowing. She's booked, she's bossed up, and she's blessed. She said, I'm not fighting for my marriage, I'm building my future. And then she did it both on camera and off camera in real time. She turned pain into power, divorce into dividends, and y'all still mad she doesn't flinch at Martell's fake apologies. She wasn't bitter, she was busy. She gave y'all the blueprint, and you still trying to Xerox her with a busted printer. And Ariane, come on back to the front of the congregation, Miss Girl, because you're out here acting like you snatched your prize when what you really caught was the consequence. Let's make one thing abundantly clear. You were not the storm. You weren't even the thunder. You are the aftermath of a man's poor decisions. You're not a level up. You're a side route on a broken GPS. Martell told us he was thinking about putting you in a home, maybe sending you to nursing school, and possibly giving you a ring. Girl, are we playing Monopoly or building a life? Because nothing about that sounds like a plan. That sounds like a Craigslist ad under delusional promises. You're out here being loyal to a man who wouldn't even post your face, who gave you a baby but won't give you as much as a birthday shout out, who left you in the shadows while the entire internet dragged you for free. So let's be real. Martell chose melody in public, in business, and in branding. And he chose you in private, in pain, and in poor decision making. Now make that make sense. And yet, you're still online talking slick like you've been crowned queen. Queen of what? Bad judgment and blurry screenshots talking about I'm that girl. Sweetheart, you are not that girl. You're the aftermath of a man's bad decisions, not the prize. Because that girl, she doesn't wait on a man to validate her. She doesn't raise her voice in the comments but stay mute on camera. You want to be that girl so bad, but you're out here giving that's enough. You weren't the upgrade, sis. You were the detour on the way to destiny. So before you log on again with the delusions turned all the way up, remember this. That girl don't have to say it. The world already knows it. And right now, the only thing that you are proving is that Melody was the blueprint and you're still lost in the instructions. Baby, you weren't promoted, you were tolerated. You didn't win. You inherited the drama Melody dropped when she walked away with her dignity and a booked and busy calendar. So let's compare apples to expired apples. Melody, she's an entrepreneur. She's an executive producer. She's a brand builder. She's a mother. She has her music. She does real estate. And all of this come with real receipts. And Ariana, baby, you are a blurry IG live, a podcast quotes, and the product of a man who still won't post you in real time. Melody left with the crown, sis. Ariel, you were still out here chasing Melody's breadcrumbs. You weren't chosen, you were convenient. Since Melody was the moment, you were the interruption. Or better yet, you're like that ad that popped up while we were watching the greatness. So now let's talk about Marceau legacy with no logistics Scott. The man who thinks leadership is about volume and not vision. Sir, you are giving blueprints with no permits, speeches with no strategy. You stay talking about legacy like it's a buzzword you read in a self help book and not a real responsibility that requires follow through. So let's really break it down. You had us fooled in season one with the charm and provider energy. You strutted into this franchise like the second coming of business excellence. But 10 seasons in, and the only thing we've seen you build is resentment, speculation, and a glorified gravel lot you keep calling Scott Manor. That's not legacy. That's laziness dressed up in a hard hat and hopes. So let's talk about your marriage. You said you wanted a woman of substance. Tisha got degrees. Tisha got businesses. Tisha started stepping into her own. And what did you do? You pulled back like her glow up was a personal attack on you. Every time Tisha levels up, you get nervous. You start policing her voice, her outfits, and her vision. It's giving I married potential, not a powerhouse. It's giving don't pass me while I'm still figuring me out. Marceau, you don't want a wife with a vision. You want a mirror that reflects your insecurities back to you with a smile. And that's the truth. You are uncomfortable with the woman your wife is becoming because you never planned for her to grow beyond your shadow. But baby, she outgrew that shade, honey, and now she's standing in the sun, and your ego is burning up. So instead of trying to dim her light, step into your own game. Step your own game up. Because a real man ain't intimidated by a boss woman. He claps the loudest and he clears the path. Marso, if you really want to leave a legacy, start by being the kind of man your daughters can admire and your wife doesn't have to explain. Because right now, you're building buzzwords, sir, not buildings. And the audience is tired of buying tickets to a blueprint that never breaks ground. Just remember this: your wife is not your employee, she's your partner. Act like it. Tisha, you were never supposed to shrink to fit a title. Sis, you are the title. And this little routine y'all got going on, it's tired. Either evolve together or someone's got to be bold enough to grow along because love and marriage is not supposed to feel like a promotion you have to keep reapplying for. Let that simmer. Now, don't get me wrong, y'all. I love me some Kimmy. She's queen, graceful, grounded, educated, articulate. She's the woman that keeps it classy, even when the circus is circling her marriage. But Maurice, sir, you out here walking around like the calm in the storm, but half of the time you are the storm. You just whisper your chaos. We've watched Kimmy fight through cancer, raise a family, run a household, and still show up to every scene looking like a poise in a pantsuit. While you're out here giving us confusion wrapped in calm energy. And when she calls you out on it, here you go with the most used line in love and marriage Huntsville history. Let's talk about it later. Later when, Maurice? When the reunion airs? When the story fizzles? When OWN cancels the show? Because baby, later is code for I don't want to deal with it on camera. And that ain't cute when your wife is being transparent and vulnerable in front of the world. You're giving legal logic with no love language. Sir, we don't need another lesson in contracts and confidentiality. We need to know if you can actually be present for the woman who's been showing up for you. You said for better or worse. But the moment worse showed up with a diagnosis and some emotions, you started ghosting in plain sight. You know, and don't get me started on the my brother said excuse every time Marceau gets messy and you suddenly can't pick a side. What you scared of? Maurice's opinion or Kimmy's independence? Because the real tea is this: Kimmy don't need you. She chose you. And that, Mr. Maurice, is a flex you should respect. She's been 10 toes down, even when you were tiptoeing around accountability. She held her tongue, her tears, and her temper while you played neutral like we couldn't see the hesitation behind your eyes. But neutral don't protect the queen. And calm show don't cover a woman battling for her life and her peace. So let me just say this, Mr. Maurice. You married a woman who deserved a partner, not a passive bystander with a soft voice and a hard time showing up. And Kimmy, sis, you're not asking for too much. You're asking the right questions to the wrong man. Because the real ones, they don't just say, we'll talk later. They say, let's fix it because you matter. Carlos King, on whoever is listening to this, somebody better tell these men marriage ain't a monologue, and love without purpose, it's just polite abandonment in a fitted suit. So here's the gag, and I need every woman watching to hear me clearly. These men love a boss chick until she stops asking for permission, until she starts signing her own checks, until she stops playing small for their comfort, until she realizes the only thing keeping her in place is the illusion of needing a man's approval. And that's when they panic. Not because they changed, but because they finally saw themselves without their lens. Whew. So let's take this final sip, y'all, because I want to say that again for the people in the back. Melody was everything Martell prayed for until her prayers started excluding him. She outgrew the chaos. She outgrew the lies. She outgrew being the strong one while he played the victim. She stood up, she bossed up, and glowed up, and he was shook. Meanwhile, Arion still standing in the smoke, thinking it's the spotlight. These men don't want powerful women. They want proximity to power they can still control. And once that control is gone, so is the relationship. So, Carlos King, you better clock this moment and bottle it. Because this is the real love and marriage conversation that y'all did not want to have. And let me say this, boss women don't shrink, they just stop waiting. Oh yeah. All right. I'm sis with the tea, and baby, we don't sip lukewarm. Over here, we boil over. Bye, y'all. Ooh, y'all. So the tea has been spilled, honey. I'm sis with the tea, and this was your dose of reality, raw and unfiltered. So, as always, stay real, stay ready, and remember, don't spill tea unless it's worth sipping. Bye, y'all.